is Rey?
What is Kylo?
Who is Snoke?
There's just too many questions. Hi, I'm Donathan.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are Craving Cinematics. Well, we just took a look at the Star Wars trailer for the second or third time, or maybe fourth or fifth. 10th. And there are a lot of questions from this trailer. And to be honest, not exactly sure what to think, especially that last scene. So Kelly and I decided that we'd just sit down and have a little discussion about it and to take a look at it from many different perspectives. Now, both of us are Star Wars fans. I'm near fanatic, but she's a Star Wars fan. So we thought we would sit down, have a little discussion, and talk with you guys about what you might think is going on and just kind of flush this thing out.
Bash around some ideas.
There you go. Kind of brainstorm this thing.
Give Disney some ideas.
That's a thought. So, when we did our trailer reaction for the Star Wars trailer, for The Last Jedi, we got caught up on that last scene and posed a question, well, what is Rey? So we want to step back a little bit, take a look a little bit about Star Wars history, and really think about, okay, how is this all fitting together? Now, I'm the movie fan as far as Star Wars is concerned. I don't read the books. I don't read the comics. There are a lot in Legends that isn't really canon, but Disney does pull from the Legends in order to give good story ideas and that kind of thing. So I'm going to start off with what I think is going on. Then Kelly's going to give her perspective, and then we're just going to have this little simple discussion. So I know that from the Old Republic that at one time the Sith were actually destroying each other. Therefore comes the rule of two. You have the master and you have the apprentice. That way, only two Sith Lords would ever exist at any one time. This would prevent the Sith from actually being destroyed. Moving forward in time, you go all the way through to The Last Jedi. We know that Sidious and Vader both were killed, leaving Luke to pick up to rebuild the Jedi Order after it was wiped out by the Empire. Now, fast forwarding all the way up to The Force Awakens, we know that Luke tried, and due to the dark side, whether it be Kylo and the Knights of Ren, or from Snoke himself, it was destroyed. He went into exile. And we really don't know what he had been doing all that time. So now we're back into the trailer again. And there are some things that were really odd about what was going on. From The Force Awakens, we know that Kylo was in this turmoil between the dark and the light. All the way up, spoiler alert, when Han Solo was killed by Kylo. So that was what everybody thought, at least I did, that was his final push to the dark side. Now watching this trailer, it doesn't necessarily mean that he went all the way, because he still has one other person, and that's his mother, Leia. We saw from the trailer where he's in a fighter, and he's aiming and targeting the bridge of Leia's ship. At least it appears that way.
Yeah.
So, again, we have to take this trailer with a grain of salt, but it does appear that way, and his battle is, and his words are, the past has to die. Whether you have to kill it, you have to move on to become what you're meant to be. What does that mean? Does it mean he has to kill Leia, his mother, to finally go for the full dark side and get rid of the light that's within him? Or does that mean he's reversing back? So we really don't know. then we have this whole thing with Luke. He states he's seen this raw power before. It didn't scare him enough the first time, but it does now.
So what raw power?
Exactly. What is this raw power he's referring to? Is it the Force itself, or is it something that he sees in Kylo and Rey? What is this? And then finally, that last scene in the trailer. Here's Rey. She says she needs someone to help her find her place in all of this. She's looking up, and then who do you see? You see Kylo with his hand extended. What are they trying to tell us? So that's a brief overview of what we see is going on. So what we want to do is have a little short discussion about this and really delve into this and what it might mean going into The Last Jedi and what it may mean going into Episode 9 and where this whole storyline may go. So, my first thoughts going into this, Disney's playing tricks with us.
Disney.
There are a lot of different editing tricks that they've done here to kind of not necessarily misdirect us, but to get us talking. And that's exactly what we're doing. So, moving along with this, what are they trying to say, and what are they trying to get us to think? Well, from the base perspective, that there is this raw power, power that Luke is really afraid of.
Kind of like, you think like a super force, to give it a name?
Yeah, a super force, or
something that may be a little bit stronger than just the Jedi Force.
Yeah, bigger, much bigger than the Sith and the Jedi.
And it came, Luke said this, that you know, I've seen this Force, this before, and it didn't scare me enough then, but it does now. And he said that when Rey was levitating the rocks and the earth cracked open.
Right.
Now, again, that could be all editing. That could be 2, 3 different scenes. But if it's all one scene, then yeah, she's got a stronger force, it seems, than what the normal Jedi has.
Exactly. And something else that caught me in The Force Awakens concerning Rey's power. Nowhere in the storylines from all of the movies, now it could be in the books or the comic books, but the lightsaber called out to Rey. She had all of these visions,
Rey,
I mean, very
Rey.
vivid visions, all the way to the point of seeing Darth and Luke having their battle, to where Luke finds out Darth is his father. So that is something much greater than what has been seen before in the movies. So for me, I think Rey is something much larger, much more than just a Jedi or the potential Sith.
So, does that mean that maybe she's not from the Skywalker clan? Because it's something stronger.
I agree. And that really got me to thinking when Kelly mentioned that earlier, is that all the films are based off the Skywalker family. And with Rey being who she is, we don't know who her parents are. But at this point, does it really matter who her parents are? She doesn't have to be related to any character in the movies that we've seen so far. She just may be something much larger. Now, it was alluded to, or a little bit more being alluded to, that Anakin himself was really created by the Force, given that he had no father, but he did have a mother, which that was the channel to where he was led to the dark side, is trying to save his mother and then eventually trying to save Padme. What if Rey has no parents? Period. She's come from somewhere else. The Force itself.
But in the last movie, she was on the planet before when it first started, and she didn't want to leave the planet because she said her family was coming for her.
And that's the key word, family. She never says parents. She always says family. Now, I thought a lot about this. In the flashbacks in The Force Awakens, Rey is saved from the massacre. We know that she was at the school with Luke and Ben Solo. The Knights of Ren came and destroyed the school, killed everybody, but Rey. Of course,
How do we know that?
Luke's, because there was a flashback that Luke had.
Oh.
And what had happened was there was this little girl, and one of the Knights of Ren went to strike her down, and that red lightsaber comes out and stops. Kylo stops her from being killed. So what if the family she's referring to is someone that she couldn't remember? She just had vague appearances of. And someone she wouldn't recognize in his current form. Because Rey and Ben were there at the same school, could it be that she saw Ben as a big brother figure and that he was the one who left her on the planet?
And she was waiting for him to come?
She was waiting for him, but because he's now Kylo...
So she doesn't recognize him?
She doesn't recognize him.
Ooh.
She doesn't recognize him because he's so filled with the dark side now. She doesn't feel the light that he used to have.
That doesn't necessarily change her physical appearance.
No, but they're much older now.
Yeah.
And plus, her being so young, her memories may not be that vivid. She may go based off feeling more than anything, and that feeling's obscured because of the dark side.
Okay. Well.
So maybe it is Ben Solo that she remembers that left her there, waiting for her family to come back. But she never specifies parents.
So if Ben's her family, she is part Skywalker.
Not necessarily. If she considered him to be family, because he took care of her there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Kind of I follow that. Kind of like an adopted big brother. So it got me really to thinking, okay, if that's the case, her parents don't matter any longer. So moving forward and looking at the trailer again, we see what kind of power Rey has, right down to the part where she's meditating and Luke's behind her, and then there's an earthquake and the ground splits and he looks down and this shocked look on his face. She is more or beyond what he's seen before.
Woman power.
Yay. But, if she's that powerful, and we saw this in The Force Awakens, her just being able to resist Kylo with no training.
Yeah.
And not just resist him in the mind control, but also start reading his mind. But she also defeated him in a lightsaber battle with no training or very little. So she was just a Padawan, just a youngling when she was at the school. So this opened up a whole Pandora's box. So I got to thinking, okay, maybe they're going in this one direction that really opens up and expands this universe. It doesn't really have anything to do with the Skywalker line. Maybe she is more like what Paul Atreides was in Dune. When he became Paul Muad'Dib, it took years for him to learn and to train and to finally realize who he really was, the Kwisatz Haderach, which was the universe's super being. So maybe they're going along in those lines, that Rey is the one spoken of in the prophecy about bringing balance to the Force. Because as I spoke of in the trailer reaction, that only truly a gray Jedi that knows both the dark and the light that could bring it into balance. No one person on the light side or no one person on the dark side, because they're equal sides of a coin, can actually bring balance. It takes both of them. So one of two things. Rey is either a gray Jedi, or Rey and Kylo end up forming a relationship which end up representing both sides of the Force. So that's where I'm going with it. So what about you? What do you think?
Well, that kind of that came out of nowhere. So,
I've been thinking about this a lot.
I can't. I really can't see Rey and Kylo getting together.
I'm not meaning in a relationship of, like Anakin and Padme were. I'm talking about a relationship with the Force, but them working together.
But they're always going to be fighting because evil and good. One of them, well, they both sides want to win.
That's true.
So one of them has to.
That's why I'm leaning more towards a gray Jedi. Someone who has an advanced understanding.
Yeah,
of
but
both
if
sides.
she's a gray Jedi and Kylo's, a Sith, then that leans too heavily on the bad side. So you've got to have somebody good,
Maybe they both become gray Jedis.
And that's a possibility, because there's the scene where Kylo is smashing his helmet. And so that could mean that maybe he's still having questions as to whether he wants to be fully bad, or if
that's
he's
what
just wanting to lose the image of Darth Vader with the mask, or the actor just wanted more FaceTime.
That's a good point.
But
what
he may have said, "Hey,
yeah,
dude, I got a good face here."
I mean, dude, I got this wicked scar on my face. I don't want to cover it up anymore. No, I agree. As far as that whole incident where Kylo is smashing his helmet, stating that the past has to die.
And what brings him to that anger, I wonder?
I don't know.
Because, he's angry, but there's also a shot of Rey just looking up and just screaming.
Yeah.
And so is that anger? Is that frustration? Is that...
Well, there's one part in the scene, I don't know if you're referring to this or not, where she's leaning back and she's screaming.
Yeah.
Well, if you look further...
Isn't that what I just said?
But if you look further in that scene, she's not just leaning back. She's laying down because she's hovering, and Snoke is in front of her.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I did.
So maybe
Snoke,
she's being tortured.
Yes, she is. Just before that scene, you see Snoke doing this. So he's doing the whole thing that Kylo tried to do to her.
Gotcha. All right, so you talked about the power of two. Mm-hmm. So you have now...
the rule of two.
Or the rule of two, sorry. So you have Snoke,
mm-hmm.
and you have Kylo.
Yep.
On the bad side. You have Rey. Do you have Luke?
We don't know. Does Luke actually train her, or is he just really observing to see what kind of power she has?
Or is he just scared crapless?
Yeah. Maybe that's what she did to Luke. Maybe that's the raw power he's talking about. It didn't scare him in the past. It does now. Maybe he is talking about Rey, or maybe he's talking about Snoke. Maybe
it's just the power, the sheer power of it all.
And that's what got me to, really thinking about this is something, he's seen something that's much larger than the Sith and the Jedi. Something that he caught glimpses of in the past, but now he's seeing it for the first time, and it's scaring him to death. And he really doesn't know how to proceed. Because
don't make him whiny again.
Yeah, let's not go there. I mean,
sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. But the other thing too, I was also thinking about, we can speculate all day long.
Yeah, in a 2-minute and 46-second trailer. We could sit here all day and talk.
Exactly, but we could, and this is exactly what Disney wants. But I also got to thinking, and I was asking Kelly about this. Now, Kelly's a businesswoman, and she understands these kind of things. I myself am not. I'm a tech geek, and I'm a nerd. But Kelly understands these things, and I was curious as to what her perspective was from Disney's perspective as a business and where they may take this franchise. So we were discussing it, and I was talking about maybe they really need to expand this universe. So what do you think?
Well, if you're thinking in a business line, which Disney does, and they have to, keeping it just straight Skywalker really limits them.
I agree.
Now, they can still keep Skywalker. You still have Luke. There could be something that goes off with Luke. You still have Kylo, who is part Skywalker, which is a huge story there. But if Disney wants to continue past 12, and if they're smart, they're going to want to continue past 12. Then yeah, you have to expand the quote family. You have to make it larger. You have to bring in some new characters, which they started doing with the last movie.
True.
There's several new people that are big in the storyline now.
Right.
What's the guy's name? Black guy.
Oh,
Not
Finn.
Finn. Oh my gosh, couldn't think of his name there, and I love that name too. But anyway, Finn. Who knows where he comes from? There's a whole freaking story there.
Yep.
That, why all of a sudden does this one stormtrooper in all the ages of stormtroopers, why is there this one that questions what the dark, what Darth Vader and the dark side's doing?
Well, from the Clone Wars, we know that the stormtroopers were all clones.
Right.
But apparently, after the fall of the Empire, they started kidnapping babies
people.
And
Babies, and giving them names, and giving them numbers instead of names, so they
brainwashing them and all this other stuff. But you're right. Why did Finn break away from that?
Which is brilliant of Disney, because that is a whole. It could turn out that Finn's family is somehow connected with Rey's family.
Yep.
And they've met in this part in time, but that there's something magical there.
It could be.
That's just an idea, but that would expand the universe. And you think of, when you're producing a movie and all the toys, all the costumes, all the the collectibles, all the collectibles that go with it. They rely on that income.
Of course.
Obviously. I'm stating the obvious, but it's something that factors in to making a movie. So they have to think along those lines. What kinds of cutesy things can they make? What kinds of, dolls can they make? It all has to, the popular characters have to have bobbleheads, T-shirts, sweatshirts. All of that has to fit in with the storyline. The storyline has to be able to produce some of that stuff.
Yep.
And I know it sounds really shallow, and I don't mean for it to sound shallow. It's just business. So Disney, if they were smart, and this is just me telling big old Disney what to do.
And Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, and Kathleen.
Let's not forget Kathleen.
All right, let me sidetrack 1 second. Can I just say Kathleen Kennedy is amazing? She has taken this, and I've watched her career. Starting out just as a helper, to a casting agent, to being a casting agent, to running this thing at Disney, and she is a strong woman. So all of a sudden she is in charge, and now we have in the movies, these next 3 at least, a strong female lead who is everything revolves around her. So Kathleen, I think you had a little bit of an input on that, and I thank you very much for it, because that's awesome.
Well, sure. Let's make Rey the universal super being.
A female, and where else I mean, no other movie ever in the history of movies have we had, a female that strong. Can you think of anything?
Yeah, how about Diana, Wonder Woman, God Killer?
Well, yeah, but she's not the universe.
That's true. Well, I mean, she is a God Killer.
She's not a god.
True.
She's a superhero. I love you, Wonder Woman. You know this. Look at my trailer from Wonder Woman. Oh, no, we didn't do a trailer from Wonder Woman.
No, we didn't.
Well, anyway, read my mind right now. Wonder Woman's awesome. But anyway, she's not a god. She's not an all-powerful.
Yeah.
She has to have the other superheroes. Rey, if it turns out the storyline's going kind of
what we're thinking,
we think it might be going,
hoping,
then Rey is, she's a female, all-powerful being. And,
yeah.
And Kathleen, I think, Kathleen had a little bit of a say there. So Kathleen, I love you. just want you to know if you're watching.
Well,
I hope you are.
I'm really hoping that what we're thinking, it is actually coming about, because, I would really love to expand not just the universe. It's one thing to expand the families and to go into different characters and everything. The underlying true character throughout all of this, legends, the books, the comic books, the canon, all of the movies, everything, has been the Force. We know very little about the Force and what it's about and what's going on with it. Again, I've not read any of the books or the comic books. I know there's a lot of detail that's come out somewhat about it, but it's still not encompassing understanding of it. And I think it would be great that Disney took it from the perspective of really flushing out everything there is to know about the Force through these characters. But what better way to do it is to finally see the Force come into balance, at least for a little while. Oh, yeah, I know some of you...
But then what's going to happen? There's, everybody's happy,
But just
so
like
what kind of a movie
but
is
just
that?
like with Snoke, it doesn't stay in balance for long. Because one universal thing, regardless of where you go, you've always got greed for power. There's always going to be that. But what I'm saying is, taking the story arcs, going beyond the characters themselves, focusing in on the Force, just like in Dune, everything culminates into this event that we've all been waiting for, that the prophecy is fulfilled once and for all, and this being does it. As in with Return of the Jedi, we know that Sidious and Darth are killed. We know that Luke goes off to reform the Jedi Order, but the Force wasn't in balance. It just means the dark side was defeated. It doesn't mean that the Force itself is in balance.
Well, it's off balance. If one side is completely defeated, sorry, I've got a bug biting my ear. Sorry. Ooh, little bug. What was I saying? The dark side was defeated. So that's still, even though, logically we want the good side to be stronger, there's still an off balance. It's off kilter.
And therefore, you end up with the rise of the First Order. So, it's going to be a constant battle, back and forth, back and forth.
Well, it has to be if you're going to continue to have movies.
Exactly.
Yes, you can give a history, like the Han Solo movie, whatever else.
The Obi-Wan trilogy. Hopefully, we're going to get.
Yes, Ewan McGregor, please. Ewan McGregor, please. Ewan McGregor.
But
please.
I would really love to see the prophecy fulfilled at least once, and the actual Force brought into balance. It's not to say they can't expand it, because we've learned a lot more. Now the universe becomes more visible. They can expand on all these other things.
Well, I think if Disney is going to continue to ride this bandwagon, and they should, I mean, without a doubt, they should. That they are going to have to expand it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be eventually, the Skywalker lineages. It's going to be like the kings, of old time. It just got weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yeah.
And so if you don't add new blood in there, if you don't get some other histories, and then once you get, a strong character, there you go. There's 3 more another trilogy of backstory of that.
Yeah.
Which is cool with me. I mean, it's perfectly fine. If it's a strong character like Han Solo was, if it's a strong character like Obi-Wan was, then yeah, I want to know more about them.
Okay. Well, we want to know what you think.
Please.
Comment below. Let us know what your theories are and what direction you think Disney should take these in. Should they stay with the Skywalker family line, or should they veer off and do something completely different? Maybe, maybe Kylo and Rey do get together. Who knows?
And it's their baby that's the big force. I don't know. Anyway.
But let us know. And if you like this content, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you want to continue to watch this kind of content, what should they do?
They should subscribe and share with their friends so their friends can subscribe and share with their friends. And so suddenly 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, so on and so on and so on.
That would be cool. So we want to tell you guys we appreciate you for watching.
Very much, yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, because I know that it takes time to watch a video, and guess what? You can't unwatch it. Sorry.
Sometimes you may want to.
So anyway, I'm Donathan.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are Craving
Cinematics.
Cinematics.
Have a blessed evening. May the Force be with you.